How you doing, people? Long time no see. Glad you're back. I'm glad I'm back too. As I've already discussed, I'm watching smaller channels, trying to figure out who's who. It looks like there's a lot of infighting in smaller channels. Nobody wants to agree on the right way to pour it or the wrong way, but my way is the only one that's the right way. Well, guess what, guys? Get over it. You'd be dumbfounded how many ways there are to do the same thing. You would be dumbfounded. Method. What method works best? This is what it's all about. What works best for you? Are you set up to do machining? Are you? No? I can do machining. Do I? Not a lot. I don't have to. Expectations out of yourself. What are you trying to get it to do? Are you cutting cookies? You going to go to get-togethers and just zing, 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 that's it? Or does your saw have to work for a living still? That determines method as much as anything. Saws are simple. A two-stroke engine, as we've discussed, is really just a piss poor air pump. That's what it really is. Okay? So, it sucks and blows in every direction. So we are trying to get it to all go one way, through the intake, up the transfers, fire, go out the exhaust. That's what we're trying to do. Well, air goes back in from the exhaust, and it goes back down the transfers, and it goes out the intake on a saw that's a non-reed saw. Excuse me. Yeah, okay, this one. I have two Holtzformas that I put good cranks and bearings in. This is one of them that I use for a test platform. I have built hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of 372s. I've built them to death. I wrote a book on it. But there's always more to go. There's more to learn. I'll be 62 shortly. I'm not done learning. I'm not. Okay, so neither are you. You just think you are. When I have been in contact with a smaller channel, I'd like to recognize the smaller channels that are really like-minded, are really trying to better themselves, make this chainsaw community more fun, and it really got something to offer to the plate other than negativity. Quite honestly, if you got a channel, the minute you start going off on something that's negative, I'm not talking rants. Rants are cool. If you got a problem and you want to address it, go on a rant, because I do. But if you're wanting to allude, people aren't stupid. If you want to allude, oh, this bigger guy does this and this, but I don't know if that's right. Well, okay. Why don't you go ahead and say Iron Horse? I don't care. You can say my name in any way you want to on YouTube. Because if you negative toward anybody, first thing is people don't like that, because they might like the other guy. I find a lot of these small channels really intriguing and refreshing, really refreshing. I want to tell you about a couple of them. Brennan Cass. Go look at Brennan Cass's channel. I'll tell you why. He's a young man, well, half my age, or a little less. Just guessing. Family-oriented. Loves chainsaws. Very innovative man. Very innovative. He's got a full machine shop, and he was just building some full circle cranks for them Pool and Wild things. Just amazing. Absolutely amazing. Look at the man's workmanship. Look at some of what he does. His saws perform well. He knows what he's doing, and he, just like I, have got a lot to learn because he has an open mind. Open-mindedness gets you everywhere. It really does. Tell you another one. Charlie Briscoe. He takes them 4910s and makes them just fly. He's putting out nice videos. Charlie, how come we don't see your face on video, man? You know? He's getting where he talks on videos. These are just small channels, okay? But these are two that I really like. I have talked to. Another channel, and I haven't talked to him, but I got a little positive feedback. Butler Outdoors Canada. I like what you're doing. I just love the footage you put up of a get-together. that you guys have done, or a show, you know, chainsaw oriented cutting. And I just got a charge out of the crosscut saw. So Butler Outdoors Canada is another one. Tasman Kenny Fuller, love watching him. Tasman was our 10,000th subscriber. That was a few days ago, wasn't it, Tasman? Happy-go-lucky kind of guy. I bet you if you tick him off, you're handling a grizzly bear. You just got that wild child in him. He does. I think it's Saturday morning early. He does live feeds. I always try to stop in and say hello. You know. Another one that I enjoy watching, and I've met in person, and I really like, is the Bellhopper. Talented, knows what he's doing, very creative. He's used to working on small engines, believe me. Not just chainsaws, but other things too. He does really, really good. Acts of craftsmanship, I'll tell you one I like to watch. Killinger. He makes some of the finest Danny handles you ever seen. Just gorgeous stuff. Now, when you get them small handles like that, you don't want to beat and pound and fram and hit that handle many times. But he knows what he's doing. He plays with chainsaws and one thing and another on his channel. If I don't mention you, it's not because I don't want to. It's because if I leave a comment on your channel, I don't get a response. I figure you don't like me, so I just wait. I got all day. I got all year. I got the rest of my life. However short that might be. Or long. Who knows? I ain't dead yet. And I'm feeling good. So I want to get that out of the way. This is some of the smaller ones. This is not the full list of the ones I actually like to watch. I really truly enjoy quite a few of them. I really do. Okay, what we've got here in front of us. Now, like I said, I've done these 372s to death, and you get kind of bored. Well, a year or two ago, 3 years ago, I had something worked out that I didn't. I've just had too many saws here of other people's. That's not going to happen anymore. I'm tired of the friction of it. Not doing saws for other people. Just not. I think it's nice to take some time and build some of the 40 of my own that really need building and get into the creative side of life. I've kept this channel on entry level. Share the numbers. How do you generate your numbers? There's many videos. I've kept it there. But sometimes it's time to move on just a bit. I'll always do that. I'll always keep on the, this is where you get started. This is what you do. Here's how you get nice gains without really having to own exotic, expensive tools and do crazy machining, one thing, the other. Some people have got the impression that I don't machine. They have the impression that I stay on just logging saw builds. Well, that's pretty much the truth. I do. I stay right on logging saw builds. What is a logging saw? It's a saw I can run all day, not worry about it. It's always going to start, always going to run, and it's got good power delivery. It'll pull chain. That's important to me. I don't cut cookies. I got no time for it. But if you notice, this 372 sitting in front of me has got something wrong. That darn cylinder ain't settled down far enough, is it? That's because in this configuration, this isn't a 71cc saw. It's 86 now. 86 cc's. I'll share where we're at. Now, we don't know if this is going to work, do we? We don't know. We just think we know. Yes, I got a mouse in my pocket, for Christ's sakes. So, while I'm taking this cover off, I'm going to tell you what I did. I know that it's possible, as well as many of you, that you can actually put cylinders on saws. Bing, there it goes. That don't belong on them. If you want to. I don't recommend this. Children, don't try this at home. Okay, what we have here is a 390 cylinder, okay? As far as the build details, until I get it done, I can't share everything with you. I'll just tell you what we're trying to do. And I think this is exciting. Now, if you can get 86 cc's out of this weight saw and have it reliable. See, it's got to be reliable. I don't want just a toy out of this. I want it reliable. I want things to fit in the proper place. Okay, how many of you already thought, well, gee, Harv, you know, that's a regular XP cover. That X-Torque cover is a little taller. That'd probably, yeah, it would cover it up. Real logging saws don't have a cylinder sticking out. What if you polish that? If you polish the top of that cylinder the way we have that, I think that'd look pretty cool. But we got to cover it up, and we're going to. Oh, I got dust all over everything. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to tell you what I had to do. It was horrible, terrible things. I wanted to use one of these whole former saws first as proof of concept. Okay, I've done that. It has to be located exactly right. You have to re-drill the holes or elongate holes. You have to ensure your transfers are going to seal and all of this. Okay, so I'm just going to grab you and I'll show you where we're at with this. Okay, it is obviously a much bigger cylinder. It is bolted on. 390 intake. In this case, it's a 372X regular 372 carb, just for fitment. Throttle works. It's in the right position. It is. No, I don't have this little rubber all the way in the notches because I'm taking it right back apart. But we have a functioning choke, you know. So, as far as getting it on, it clears the flywheel. It's a lot of work. Okay, you got to cut them cases where that cylinder fits down in there. So far, it's frightening what you got to do, and you got to dress that cleanly. I have got to get a mill, so I could have went in there with a fly cutter with a mill and made that so easy, starting out with fresh cases. But no, that's not. I wanted proof of concept. Now, I'm going to be building, along the designs of this, a saw for Buck and Billy to travel with. You know how some guys they got pocket money. Buck and Billy needs pocket saw. He needs saw. Hey, I'm going to be traveling. He's going to Paul Bunyan. If you're going to Paul Bunyan, well, I'm going to give him, if I can do this. Let's see if we can do it even. You know, like I said, sometimes you get bored. I want to build him one of these, 56 millimeter. This is a 390 cylinder. They're 55, okay, but with 36 millimeter stroke, it figures out right there at 86 millimeter. Somebody will correct me and say it's 86 point something, but this is what it is. I wanted to go 1 millimeter bigger, and I'll tell you why. I've mentioned that we're stroking crankshafts, and I've got the last of everything I need to do an efficient, accurate job stroking these cranks. So I can take this 372 crank, this 36 millimeter stroke, and go to 38. Okay. 56 millimeter bore, that's only 1 millimeter. That's what, 42 thousandths? Gives me the same cc's as a 394 or 395 Husky. Exactly the same bore and stroke in a 372. All right? Now, what makes this fun? I was going to do this as a reed saw, But I know it's one thing that you don't do. When you're really trying to get advancements in whatever you're doing and learn, I'm learning this as I go. I'm winging it, man. I'm telling you straight out, winging it. But it probably will work. If it doesn't, oh well. It's the way it is. I'm not wrecking freaking anything to do with a OEM Husky. Guarantee you that. I ain't doing it. But what I am going to do is continue on at this little project. Like I said, this is something that's been quite a while in the making. There's much, much more. Much. Oh, you wouldn't even believe. That's why I got to clear everybody else's saws out so we can get into the really fun stuff, make some better videos of how porting actually works. This is what's important to me anyway. If you have another small channel and you just didn't want to reach out to Iron Horse of like, hey, have you ran into this? Do it. I don't care what other people say about you. You're decent to me. I'll be decent to you. You want to come at me being a jerkwad? Well, expect the same. Everybody's got a free shot on me. And I'll probably give them 2 even. But let's try to get along in this community. That's one thing I highly recommend when you are bad-mouthing other people at shows. And people don't like it. There is enough of that crap in the world. They're called politicians, right? Okay. So, obviously, it's all bolted together. I did manage to get that far. I got a piston in. Let me get into some boxes here and show you a couple things. Now, this is where this gets interesting, okay? Here's another 390 cylinder. Okay, that's 55 millimeter bore. This is a piston for steel MS661. Now, that's 56 millimeter. And when you look at it, you think, well, why don't that fit? Well, it's just not going to. It's 1 millimeter different. I think a millimeter is what, 42 thousandths? So, what do? We're going to machine this piston. Okay? That's 21 thousandths I have to take off on the side. So you make a 10 thousandths cut, make another 8 thousandths cut, and then just a spring cut, see where you're at, measure, and get your fitment. That can be done right in the lathe. It's somewhat critical to have this pretty straight. It really is. But for right now, in this platform, I'm going to take this piston that has this monstrously offset pin position. It's way low. Okay? Yeah, this piston, by the way, when I'm done, will be under 100 grams. Under 100. That's light. So I can get away with using the original bearings and rod on this crank because of that. Okay? So, because the cylinder is so much taller, in fact, let me get one out here. Here it is. You can see a 372 cylinder here. We'll just kind of, you can see there's quite a bit of difference. They're just plain and simple. There's quite a bit of difference. It's a shorter cylinder internally is what it is also. It is. So here we got a taller cylinder. So we need an offset pin. This will get me close enough for what I'm doing at this level of this. Build once, build twice, build 3 times. Don't build all at once because you end up with more complicated problems as you go doing this kind of thing. Now, like I said, I am not recommending this. If when I'm done, it proves itself, it's a good loyal runner, and we like it, I'll make a video of exactly every step I made, how much I had to move things, how I did it, and how to do it without expensive tools. You will need a lathe. I'm sorry, if you can't, don't try this without a lathe. Minimum, you need a lathe. Should have a milling machine too, quite honestly. Which I don't have one. I can use somebody else's when it's free. But you know where that leads. So by having a long offset on my pin, I can use that stroke. Now here's something way cool. If I sleeve to 56 millimeter and go 38 millimeter stroke instead of 36, I've got the same exact bore stroke as Husky 394 and 395. So you're 94 point something cc's all of a sudden. That's a game changer. We're starting at 86. We're starting at 86 for a reason. Already I am successfully stroking cranks. This has been something I've done a long time. And now I'm a little better set up than I was. Now, I'm trying to stay with something that has an 11 millimeter wrist pin instead of 12 for one reason. The weight. That you wouldn't believe what 1 millimeter on your wrist pin weight means. It means a lot. So, when I stroke, I might even try another thing. I might just change the length of the rod. And probably, this is a wild guess, so don't quote me. The next rod I think I would like is probably a steel MS660 or 66 mag. I think that rod. It's got a little bit bigger bearing on the bottom end and 11 millimeter on the top. A little bit longer rod. We'll park it at top dead center just a little longer. Gather that kinetic energy, but it comes down faster. Now, you'll find when you start getting into changing rod lengths, longer rods are better. Just because. Shorter rod, the piston has a tendency to move just up and down. But a long rod will come up, park, and then goes fast down. That changes your timing. It changes your exhaust timing, intake timing, and transfer timing. Think about it. Now, as you know, on the channel, I say, okay, on my intake, I don't care where it opens. I do not. I don't want to know. Don't ever tell me them numbers. I want to know how long the intake is open. It's because I know open too long can be a good thing in one way, but taking too long to close is negative going the other way. So when you start stretching your intake timing, this is what happens. When you start increasing intake timing, you'll gain one direction, but it doesn't close quick enough. That's why we like playing with reeds. It can be open forever. When that piston changes direction, bam, that reed snaps shut, and you don't get that negative, that blowback back through the intake. Piss poor air pump, right? Okay. But longer rods will produce more horsepower. Okay, they will. There has been an awful lot of discussion about Squish. Everybody thinks, and it's because I said it way, way, way back, I'm sure of it, 20 thousandths is your minimum. I say 20 thousandths is your minimum you want because things get longer, they heat up, and you're on bearings. There is a tolerance in the bearings where you turn that 14 friggin' thousand RPMs, and things have a way of stretching. 20 thousandths is the minimum to keep you out of trouble. Can you run longer? Oh, yeah. Don't get so concerned. 30, 35 thousandths. Great. Well, compression ratios. We're going to have to cover that in another video. Some of this gets deep. What kind of pressure are you wanting? If you get your pressure too high, I'll warn you one thing. That's all flatten right out. Up on top end, it'll flatten right out. It just starts wheezing. You don't like it. But if you don't have enough, you'll never generate enough power to say boo to. So that's going to change. And I'll tell you a couple things that affect what your true compression is, because you can't check your compression at 14,000, can you? I can't either. Well, I know how to. We just haven't done it yet, which I guess I better do that too. So, like I said, this is getting into some advanced stuff. What you will see, and I've had people argue with me in the past in the comments, and go ahead and do it now, because you're wrong already before you get started. your compression rate increases. Your absolute compression increases as your RPMs increase. Okay? It does. That's just the way it is. Instead of arguing, figure it out. There's many books on it. This ain't my theories. This ain't my ideas. This stuff was wrote 30 years ago. It was completely understood 30 years ago. 20 years ago, they even knew more. 10 years ago, fantastic. It all coming out of snowmobile racing, bike world, all this stuff. There is so much going on. Chainsaws are 50 freaking years behind times. I'm going to tell you they are. Here's your problem with a two-stroke chainsaw. Why the transfers are small and they got short rods. They're trying to get what they can out for power and efficiency in a really small package. They can't have a cylinder that tall with a great big long rod. We will be doing some cylinders jacked up a half an inch. We're going to do it. Just gonna. Or 3/8 of an inch or something. And I'm going to run through that rod ratio, how that affects your transfer timing and one thing and another. I want to use this cylinder as an example from top dead center. I'm not even going to bother with the numbers. There's two schools of thought on how the things actually work. Now, what's important to know is when your exhaust opens, which you see that one right there. Okay. The one school of thought is open it just a little earlier, have your transfers a little later, make bigger transfers. Okay, so what has to happen, let's look what the saw is really doing, the motor, the engine. As that roof clears, right about in there, exhaust pressure starts to be reduced. Now you got to realize this is really happening fast. There's quite a bit of pressure there. So it has to bleed off the pressure. Okay. And then see the transfer open. See where that transfer open? That isn't very long, is it? Now it's a time thing. Air has density. Okay. It's only going to move as fast as it can move by a given pressure gradient. So bam, fired, opened, transfers open. When you drop your cylinder by doing a lot of heavy machining, what you've done is you've got your transfers where they open quick. Now these guys will raise, right here's the transfers, they'll raise them transfers up here. So what'll happen is they'll get this, okay, right there, now the transfers would open, what's actually open here. They don't give enough time, okay? If your pressure has it reduced right there, just before them transfers open, see that? Guess where that's going? It stops the incoming air in the transfers and actually can go backwards into the case. This is why I choose to look at this. I want my pressure gone completely, my transfers to open. If you get that transfer timing too close and that doesn't have that pressure out, I will promise you that's what you're going to end up with. Now, is that wrong? No. Am I right? Yes. Are they right? Yes. Absolutely. Both ways work. You can machine your piston or your combustion chamber, depends on how you want to do it. You can take a bunch off of your base. You can fill your intake full of JB Weld if your timing's further than you wanted. You can do all these things. You can raise your roof of your transfer to 15, 17 degrees, something like that. You can do that. But guess what you can't do? You can't cut your transfers. Don't. Just don't. You might as well just go ahead and smooth them up. That will make power. The compression boost that they gain by having the ring seal quicker over a longer period produces power. Okay? But by having your transfers smaller, it allows it to open quicker and but the air charge isn't going very fast up on top of that cylinder to push the exhaust. So it has a little time there. This is why the other school of thought is right. I choose to have 25, 28 degrees of blowdown. I do that. I'll raise my compression with a lowly little pop-up, base gasket delete, whatever I got to. All right? That also is positive for correcting intake timing. I like my intake timing right around 155 on a work saw. 160 degrees is good. That's safe. That's safe, guys. That's real safe. Okay, this is what it's all about. I'll run it a lot further if it's my own saw and I'm just really enjoying the build, or bigger saws, you know. It depends on what you're doing. So, realize I like longer transfer timing. I'm not risking having pressure go stop my transfer flow or possibly going back down through. How many times have you took a saw apart, an older saw, seen all that black crap and them transfers? Yeah, that's what it is. That's reversion. That's air fuel going the wrong way. It ain't going out the exhaust. Really hampered exhaust will do that too. Something that's plugged up, you'll see that. You will. So you're depending on free flowing exhaust first. I'm going to talk more about this subject, guys, okay? But that's it for now. Goodbye.